Hi guys, welcome to Simple Moments. I'm Camille and today we're doing something new. I want to start something new on this channel, which is more relaxed, less structure, and more like podcasts and less how-to. I want to be able to speak my mind and just share you some questions that I have, some ideas that I have, and I don't want it to be like a tutorial, like something I'm teaching you guys, because I'm not the only one that's able to teach, and I don't know all the answers. So I really dislike the idea in the old formats of videos where I was telling you how to do certain things, because I'm still learning and I still have a lot to learn. Also, we're in somewhere different, and with all this new change, I want to start this video with the subject New Beginnings, because we're also near the new year, which is the new year is something that people use in order to start new routines, start something new. But there's also the idea of like starting fresh, starting new, starting with completely blank canvas. And sometimes that idea can be appealing when you're either in a bad situation or you feel like you're not achieving what you want to achieve. And so the idea of starting fresh somewhere else is something that can be really inviting. And that's something that I've thought a lot, that I've been thinking a lot. Because like sometimes life isn't perfect and we just need to accept it. But what since I've been really young, I've always I've always relied on the fact that I would be starting something completely new somewhere else. And the idea of having this fresh starts, I'm gonna mispronounce every word, but anyway. So the idea of starting somewhere completely different and having a fresh start is something really appealing. Since I've moved countries a lot when I was younger, I've been used to this idea of like, but anyway, in a year I'm moving. Like, if where I am right now isn't what I wanted, or I couldn't make any friends for some reason in this school, I'd be like, I can start fresh somewhere else. So I've started to use that reflex. But I'm sure that anyone with any experience, not just someone who's used to moving, has this idea of like starting fresh somewhere where you can just be somebody else. I had this someone, Charisma on Command. If you know him, he talked about his story where he used to be someone that was really shy in school until I can't remember if it was on vacation or he went there to study, but he went to South America. Can't remember the country. Don't remember a lot of things about this story. But he went there and he started to be super social and started to talk to everyone and be more socially active. Because he was in somewhere new, he didn't have a label. And that's something that I think could be dangerous, but what is appealing about starting new somewhere is where you are right now, you have a label. People label you as something. You have labeled yourself as something because you're in this environment, the same environment. So you stay the same, or you want to stay who you are in that environment. But when you go somewhere different, you act differently, you say different things, either because it depends on the people who are around you, or the environment, the mood. And so that's why maybe going somewhere could be interesting in order to have this fresh canvas of yourself. Who can you be? That's something that's super interesting, because are we who we, like, there's this idea where we say, are we who we are because of the genetic or environment? And does it mean that you are going to be the same person all your life, or can you go somewhere different with a different social situation, or I don't know, a different crowd, different type of people, are you going to still be you? And there's this idea about being yourself, like that could be a whole other subject. I should note this subject, but like when we say be yourself, what is yourself? But anyway, I'm not gonna go more on this subject. So yeah, so the idea of starting fresh somewhere is appealing, in order to escape, or just to see what else can you do, or maybe trying to push yourself a little further. But how can you start fresh? I tend to have the reflex of like, if I want to start fresh, I need to move countries because of what I've explained earlier. But could you start fresh on vacation and just like try something completely different on vacation? And I need a drink a little. And could you start fresh where you are? If you know Jenny Mustard, The Mustard, they have a podcast, and they have the podcast every Monday. And they say it's Monday morning where everything is possible. And so they have the idea of like every Monday, it's the start of a new week, the start of a fresh, just like a fresh week of new ideas, she has the idea where, well, she has this idea. She says that for her, it's like starting fresh. So you don't need to go somewhere else to start fresh or to have a new beginning, because a new beginning could also be like starting something new with someone, or starting a new hobby. But like, how do you get, is it a mindset? Is it I have so many questions, but about this new way of filming, I really want it to be organic, so that you can see my thoughts, and also so we can have a conversation. You can write in the comments, what do you think, and maybe help me answer some questions. But anyway, let's go back to the subject. So starting new beginning. It's something that could be scary. Some people could be, well, I know some people who are not that comfortable about starting something new, about starting something fresh, because it means, in a way, forgetting, or not getting rid of, but not having the same reflexes, the same routine, the same just what you're used to will be different. So yeah, starting new can be stressful, especially if you're starting new, like the idea of a changing job. Is that something you guys are scared of, or like, there's always this idea that I have in my mind is like, every time there's something bad that happens, because I've been watching a lot of YouTubes and a lot of people like about mental health, or about lifestyle, about trying to be a better yourself. And people say never to be scared of changes. And so when something bad is happening, or when you're in a bad situation, starting new somewhere else, or just starting fresh somewhere else, either by a new job, is a good thing, because you get you're stimulated, you're learning something new. The idea of learning is super stimulating and can help you not feel bored. But there's like this gamble between, like, if we continue with the job, is it going to penalize you because you need to start over, and so you need to start over either because some companies have like the more years you work there, the better things you get, and so starting new somewhere would mean losing all this, I forgot the term, anyway, losing all this time you work there, and you need to start fresh somewhere else. But at the same time, you're gaining new experience, you're gaining knowledge, you're gaining. So there's also the idea of like, should we want to start something new, and do we want to, do we need to, and what type of different things do we want to start fresh? It could be, I want to start a new way of dressing, a new styling your hair. It could be like super simple, but it could be huge. Like you want to start living, like for right now, the living in a van movement is super popular. So like it could be you're going to sell everything, or if you don't have anything right now, just not live in a traditional home and go into a van. That's super dramatic. That's like a super big start, and it could be super daunting. But at the same time, it's so refreshing. I've been having for years now, well, I've always enjoyed it. Enjoyed the idea of like going into another country where you don't know the language, you don't know the culture. Well, you know a little of it, but anyway. And you need to start fresh there. You need to start, you're gonna have new friends, learn how to learn, well, you should learn the language, and then it's gonna be easier to get friends. But it's super daunting, it's super scary and stressful, and is it worth it? But it's still this idea of just like, I think it comes from like wanting to start something new. Comes from, it could come from the idea of that you're going to leave all your stress behind. Because right now, all your stress and everything that's either bothering you, annoying you, on a day-to-day basis, the idea of starting fresh somewhere else means that you're leaving everything behind. Well, in theory, but in practice, I think that you're gonna have other things that are going to bother you, that's going to stress you. But the fact that it's not the same thing as you're used to every day is refreshing, and it's relieving in some way, because don't know what you guys think about this, but what if the more you have something bothering you, the bigger and the heavier it gets? So like the big worries that you have every day, if you go somewhere else where you don't have them, I wonder if it's going to be refreshing, like it's going to help you a lot better, versus the small little things that bother you like once a year. I'm gonna try to have no editing. I think I already said it. My goal is not to have to edit, since I want you guys to be able to see and hear everything, and just to have it simple. But the thing is, I need to get used to filming this way and not have to do long pauses. And just like, I'm gonna try to link this into the subject, but just like new, like every time you're doing something new, you're starting something fresh, you need to there's new things you need to get used to. So like right now, I'm not used to talking this long without, with trying to say things as best as I can. Like I'm not that good in English, so like sometimes I mess up some words and some phrases, but I need to get used to first have a subject that's interesting enough for a long time, but also just make sure that I'm clear and that you guys understand what I'm saying. Yeah, so it's something I'll need to get used to. But that is something that you can apply to anything, like even just starting a new hobby, the getting used to. I feel like there's always this adaptation time. There's this curve, like this learning curve, where it like starts a little slow, it spikes up, and then it slowly it doesn't go down, but like, or does it go down? But anyway, it means like at the beginning it's a little hard. If you keep going at it, it starts being super fun because you're starting to understand and you're quickly understanding and learning new things, and that part is super stimulating. However, once you reach your peak, so it's like once you've learned all the like easy knowledge, if you understand like the core, you need to dig a little more in order to learn more. And so you start not learning less, but it requires a little more effort in order to understand and learn a little more about the subject. And usually it's at that point that either people stop, or even I do it, stop doing something. So when you're starting something new, you're starting a hobby or a way of dressing or being in another country, it's going to be super stimulating at the beginning, but then it's gonna peak. After the peak, you're gonna start questioning, is it still worth it? Or maybe you'll not pick up the guitar anymore if you're trying to learn the guitar. And it's that part that's going to be hard. So maybe the reason why we like the idea, or what is appealing of starting something new, is the stimulation that comes at the beginning of being in a new situation or having new habit. The stimulation is going to be super high, and so it's super rewarding. You feel great, or you feel like there's something interesting. But when it stops, you either go back to your old habits, or you want to go back. So maybe that's why we want to start. It's like relationships. Let's go there. When you start a new relationship, it's super intense. The love between the two, like, it's super intense, the butterfly in your stomach and everything, but then it falls off. It's like the high. And then if you love the person enough, you're going to continue in the relationship, but things are going to bother you a little more because you're not in the high in love. And so one reason why starting something new and being in a relationship and starting a relationship is like starting new, is this someone who's let me think about this a little more. I know where I want to go, I just don't know how to say it to go there. But basically I think it's like someone who's addicted to the beginning of relationships, like who always wants to be in the high of relationship. So someone who's always be chasing being in a new situation and being super high stimulation. And so that's one way you could be addicted to new things. Or like one thing that I know I'm super I'm not addicted, but I love trying new foods, trying new combo and foods. That's something I really do enjoy. So we don't have like the same recipes we do every week. Like when we're wondering what to eat, or when we're shopping for groceries, we have like magazines, and it's really rare that we're doing the same recipe once or twice. There's some like when we're lazy, sometimes we're just like, okay, let's do the hamburgers or the pizzas, but we're always trying something new. So that's something that I know I really enjoy. Another thing I feel like I really enjoy in starting new is like experiences, being in somewhere different, where I can see different things, explore different things. I guess I'm really curious. I always want to learn and see different things. So it's either in food or like I love going shopping, not to buy things, but to see what's in the store. Like the treasure, like I'm like looking around trying to find the treasure, or just to get ideas. Like sometimes I love going to like Home Sense or for home decor store, and so that I can get inspired. Same like Pinterest, or it's like Pinterest but real life, because I can touch things. I love touching things. But anyway, we're getting off subject. So yeah, starting something new. I guess I've went around this subject quite a lot. What do you guys think? What is something you like doing, which is like discovering something new, or the idea of new or starting over? Like for me, if we want to talk the big starting somewhere new, is like moving to another country or going to a country on vacation that's completely different from my country. So what are you guys? Is it something that scares you? Is it something that you've already done? Is it something that you're interested in doing? And what are your thoughts on like certain subject or ideas that I've talked about? So yeah, tell me in the comments so that we can have this conversation. And maybe we can have a whole conversation in the comments. Who knows? Yeah, so thank you for staying this long with me, starting this new way of filming, this new new style of videos. But thank you very much, guys. Have a wonderful day, evening, or whatever time it is. See ya!